Have you ever walked away from a disagreement thinking, that conversation went way differently in my head? And that usually happens when emotions take over before we regulate them. Most people think relationships break because people disagree. They do not. They break because people do not know how to regulate themselves during a disagreement. So today, I'm going to show you how I look at stuff and how I try to disagree without damaging the relationship. Something that I noticed in conversations is that people often talk about being triggered. I never really liked that term. And sometimes that language created a strange dynamic. Because one person feels justified reacting emotionally, you triggered me. While the other person becomes afraid to speak because they don't want to upset the other person. And then suddenly, the conversation is not about understanding each other. It becomes more about managing reactions. And that's what made me start looking at conflict differently. Instead of seeing reactions as survival patterns, I started referring them and thinking about them as navigation patterns. Because navigation means you can pause, adjust direction, and choose how you move forward. And that puts power back into your hands. Most relationships are not lost because of a disagreement. They are lost because of how people handle the disagreement. And if you do not regulate yourself during conflict, things escalate fast. Emotions rise. Survival patterns, navigation cycles take over. And trust begins to drop. Once escalating begins, people just stop listening and start defending. This is why disagreements often damage relationships. And it's not because of the disagreement, but because reactions replace leadership. And if you want to disagree without the relationship damaging it, you need structure. So here's my ethical navigation system. Regulate, align, consider, navigate, express. It's simple, but powerful. Let me break it down. First, regulate. before you speak and you feel those emotions rising, pause. Even 3 seconds matter. Notice what you're feeling. Is it anger? Embarrassment? Fear of being dismissed? If you don't regulate that emotion, will choose the words for you. Leadership begins with interruption. Interrupt that reaction and pause. Second, align. Ask yourself, who do you want to be in that moment? Do I want to win the argument? Or do I want to protect that relationship? Am I leading with my values? Am I leading with respect, clarity, integrity? Alignment shifts your goals from proving to leading. Third, consider, step back. Look at the situation more clearly. What actually happened? What might the other person be trying to protect? Look at it from their perspective. Most people are not trying to attack you. They're just protecting something, their idea, their perspective, how they're navigating, their sense of being respected or feeling safe within themselves. If you only argue your side, you escalate. And if you consider both sides, you are leading. And fourth, navigate. Ask yourself an important question. What version of me is speaking right now? Are you navigating from the peacekeeper cycle? That's my favorite. Trying to avoid conflict. The outspoken cycle. Trying to prove your point. Or the invisible cycle. Staying quiet, even though something matters. We all have navigation pattern cycles. We fall and fail under pressure. Awareness of where you navigate helps you choose a more balanced response. Instead of reacting automatically, choose how you want to move forward. That is navigation. And finally, express. This is where most people get it wrong. Instead of saying, that is not true, try saying, I'm seeing this a little differently. Can I explain my perspective? Instead of saying, you are wrong, try saying, I want to make sure we understand each other. Can we clarify what we both mean? And then listen. Sometimes repeating what you heard helps clear up misunderstandings. Now, something very important. Communication without aggression does not mean aggression never shows up inside you and that those emotions are there. It means you are practicing how to respond while that emotion is present. Your behavior becomes your guide. And with repetition, your emotional system begins to follow the pattern you practice. This is emotional leadership. And in this world where everything escalates quickly at work, in relationships, and online, emotional things just take over and spread fast. But regulating leadership builds trust, and trust compounds. And here's the truth that most people never learn. Regulation is a practice behavior, not an emotional accident. The more you practice leading your response and pausing, the more your emotions begin to follow your discipline. Disagreement is not the threat. Unregulated reaction is. Regulate, align, consider, navigate, express. If you can do that under pressure, you can lead any environment. Before your next disagreement, ask yourself one question. What version of me is about to respond? That question can change the entire conversation.